This is amazing. So I just got done making some other videos, and then I see a video from, I think, 11 hours ago that was made from another reader, and she was saying pretty much exactly what I was witnessing, like how these people travel to another city to go do that stuff. And it dawned on me when I was thinking, okay, first, what dawned on me is, you know how you have your husband or your wife, but usually your husband who goes out of town on these so-called business trips, going to traffic people, and I'm not going to say the other stuff that I was going to say, but pretty much going to traffic them and doing it under the guise of a whole new name. You don't even know, you may not even be married to who you think you're married to. They be having different identities. But they probably, some of them, they probably tell you their real name. They let you know their real name. And they let you work with them if you're going to be that close. But usually if they don't want you knowing anything about what they do, they live a double life. They have another identity. That's why this contract law stuff is supposed to be private, I guess. And she said something, the reader that I was listening to said something about Masons doing it. And she's absolutely right. Tazadaq Shah Bey he's a Mason. If he's not, he has to be a Mason, because my son's dad, his dad was a Mason. My son's grandpa on my son's dad's side was a Mason. And he killed himself allegedly. And he claimed he went down there to see his dad, even though something doesn't sound right about his story. Because then also now while he's down there, somebody else winds up dead on fentanyl. And I remember he tried to get angry and force me to marry him, Anthony Tyree, who went to Sacramento, California, but came back here. And DHS ignored me when I told them about the threats he was making and the moves that he was making. I was testing them to see if they actually care, since they want to put me in a fraudulent case again a year later, after we went through almost a whole year. Pretty much down there, might as well say a whole year. It was only one more month left. Actually, yeah, it was a year. It was a whole year long. But I got my son back in 6 months, but the case continued for the rest of the year, and it closed out last year in 2023 on November 13th to be exact. Because they loved using that number 13. I don't know how many appointments I had specifically scheduled on the 13th. But yeah, so the men have professional jobs, but on the side, they pretend some of these business trips are under the guise, some of these so-called business trips are under the guise of being a work business trip, but they're going out of town under another identity that is a contract law free private name, getting a whole new hotel, a rental car in a completely different name. Without a trace. They don't know who you are. That's what celebrities do. They don't use their real name when they go places. That's what I heard, at least. I've heard it for years, and it makes sense. And there was a job I had where they talked about like working on famous people's accounts, them using a different name, and how to go about assisting with that account. But those were high profile accounts, and they talked to us about it if we ever went to that department. But they had specific people that was for that department, for those special accounts. So that just goes to show how deeply orchestrated a lot of this stuff is. And half the people that's out here listening to it, they know because they involved in it, but they not in it that deep. They don't think that deep. That's why some of these men out here, like Tazadaq Shopper, like saying he's a vegan. I don't know if they energy cloak or what, but I'm saying him. What I meant to say on the last video is because I don't think I was going to come back if I went. All of a sudden, COVID happened. Every time I went to the airport to get on that plane to go to the seminar to be one of the readers at the seminar, I was like, why do I have to fly all the way there just to read? Because they said women are supposed to read, but they're using that whole woman thing against, and I got confirmation in the past. So God forgive me, but I hope to God that's not true, but it's like it's starting to make sense now. Like too many things are starting to make sense. He was like, no, you going to be sleeping in the room with me. And I was like, why do I have to sleep in the room with him? And we ain't married yet. So it was suspicious, and I feel like God made it work out where every time I went to go catch that plane, I missed it, or I was late the first time and missed it because of it's like things were just going wrong. But one time, the next time I made it, I was on time. There was a long line and no other lines were open except for that one lane. I was like, oh, come on, you gotta be crapping me. Of course, I didn't say that, but I finally made it to the door to board, and something happened where I couldn't get let on. I can't remember what that was. I don't think I got through, or I can't remember what it was, but for some reason I could not board. And that probably saved my life. And he thought I was lying. He was over there, oh, I feel like you're trying to set me up. Nigga, how you get mad? You already got a wife that you left home with a 6-month-old that you're complaining about to me on the phone. I was like, man, this woman. I was like, well, maybe because she loves you. And then I later thought about it, and from what was revealed to me spiritually, what I saw going on from a distance in the spiritual realm, in the spirit realm, I guess sort of like remote viewing. I was like, maybe she know how he is. Like, maybe he can't control himself down there or something. I don't know. But I'm like, she might not have nothing to worry about because he might F them and then they traffic them or whatever. I don't know. I'm not saying that's exactly what they do. But based off of how I was treated unnecessarily and bullied by the Malachian Empire's so-called General Hellraiser, I know those men are doing illegal things. They're not just helping. That's why a majority of them mostly help men. And another person who behaved that way was Pastor Manyweather from Straightway Services. It's like he wanted to see me suffer, but he had this look of disgust on his face. He was like, I would have looked at you and said, you should be able to do something, but because you got that little one, I'm gonna help you this time. That he used to be called Cowboy in the streets, and he was out there hanging with them heavy. And that's the people that he helped: gangsters, crackheads, who ain't trying to fix their life, giving them money and stuff. But then a woman that needs help just to stay somewhere until an apartment is ready with a 2-year-old. You don't even call to check and see how things are going as a pastor. You ignore me, and then when I meet one of the minions that you have, when he tells me about you, he comes out the blue all of a sudden. Says, I think you have Pastor Manyweather misunderstood. Like he was sent to vouch for you on your behalf before it be revealed how you are. It pissed me off. I was grateful for the help you offered, like when you paid for the room, but I know what you did. That's why you didn't continue to help. Like you said you were going to, and you just ignored. And then when that man called, when Bobby called you, when Robert Lyday called you, then that's when you called me back and said, yeah, is Bobby there? And that's it. No, how are you guys? And so that means I was right when I told you about that look you gave me, Mr. Manyweather. And they call him, anyways. I just was about to make a joke about them calling him Cowboy and saying that his name is Coward Boy. Anyways. Now I know why some of these men are so narcissistic, misogynistic, and think that women are beneath them. Because they're too busy making money off of our backs, whether it be us selling our quivers on their behalves or getting murdered on their behalf. So they can make $1 off of us and then act like they don't know what's happening. It's on the news. Oh, she just like the lady who went missing in Hawaii. It was just something about that story. I don't remember that lovely woman's name, but I see her face in my what some people who call third eye. In my mind, I see her face, and I remember that picture they put on the news. Just looking at the picture, it looks like something happened behind that story, and she wasn't gonna let it rest until someone spoke out about something happening that was not supposed to happen, and basically her being tricked. Taking her to a trip to Hawaii. Guys, be careful out here with these men. Ladies, I should say, be careful out here with these men. I'm sure there's some women that's rough too, because some of these desperate to fit in women, these thirsty women are working with these peasant men. So be careful.